Live.
Welcome back. We took a week off. Hope you had a good time. Hope you enjoyed last night. Hope you got some sleep. Hope you didn't drink too much or eat too much. But it is Monday, and we are back. Richard is back from his vacation. And today is a Game of Thrones Dany 4. So, as normal, luckily, because I didn't get much sleep last night, Richard is going to do most of the talking. So, I am Old New Dude, and he is
Richard York, Asher's trueborn son.
As normal, we'll go with what Richard saw in the chapter, and then I'll just jump in with my stupid stuff. It's a short chapter, so I might not have much to say. I'm tired. So take it away.
So the Westeros.org chapter description is, the Khalasar enters Vas Delthrak. As they ride up the God's Way, Daenerys discusses the pros and cons of Dothraki combat skills with Ser Jorah Mormont. Once they've settled in, Daenerys invites Viserys to sup with her and makes a peace offering of new clothes. He becomes angry and grabs her. She hits him hard with a belt and tells him to leave. Okay. Anyway, the horse gate of Base Delthrak was made of two gigantic broad stallions rearing, their hooves meeting 100 feet above the roadway to form a pointed arch. Dany could not have said why the city needed a gate when it had no walls and no buildings that she could see. Yet there it stood, immense and beautiful, the great horses framing the distant purple mountain beyond. A purple mountain always reminds me of Death Valley and the sand dunes where the original Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, was filmed.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever been there.
Nope, I've never been there.
It's pretty. I mean, it's what you see in Star Wars.
It's worse than pictures.
Well, actually, Death Valley, that's a very, very small portion of Death Valley that has the big sand dunes and the purple mountains. It has just about everything. It has what looks like the moon. It's actually called something like the Devil's Golf Course, because it just looks like you're just covered with this craters of. It's actually, I think, salt, and then it's got this section of I think it's called something like a painter's palette or something, because there's so many minerals in the walls of some of the mountains that it looks like paint, like all these different colors and stuff. It's really pretty. But anyway,
was that Star Trek episode shot out there with the rock that he's running up with the lizard dude?
Could be. A lot of things are also shot in Canyonlands. So Canyonlands kind of looks like Mars. Anyway. You should not call them savages, brother. The dragon speaks as he likes, Viserys said in the common tongue. I think Dany realizes the irony there.
Yeah. It'd be one thing if he was speaking High Valyrian. But I didn't catch that when I read it, but when I read yours, I started laughing.
Yeah, he's very careful. In fact, I think right before that, it talks about how he looked around to make sure that there was nobody who could speak the common here. There's to be some mummer show of a prophecy for the whelp in her belly. So Game of Thrones, the show, and Preston Jacobs both like this being a complete farce of a prophecy. But I like the idea of the fear of Dany in her eyes being real. And we know prophecy and the ability to see forward and backwards in time are real capabilities in this world.
Right. Well, I mean, if the prophecy that they're talking about the baby in the belly, but we still got her later on in the House of the Undying, seeing what that son, potentially what that son would have looked like.
Right.
So is it bogus prophecy, or was it actually real? But with that time jump stuff we've been talking about and erasing things that happened, did that reality of that person get erased with her injury and being taken into the tent?
Yeah, I do wonder if things were thrown off perhaps. These since you brought up the silver hair with the dark skin, it's probably worth mentioning that the implication is that if Summer Islanders were interbreeding with Valerians, that they would have dark skin and silver hair, right? So just because the show, this is being recorded the day after the very first episode of House of the Dragon, I think it's worth pointed out that the book canon is implying that that if Summer Islanders intermixed with the Valerians, that they would have dark skin and silver hair.
Yeah, I got no problem with it. Seasnake is a badass. He didn't talk much last night, but his facial expressions, oh my goodness, I love that actor. I cannot wait. I don't know if it was him or somebody younger for his sales, his adventures.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because they kind of leave out the fact that part of the deal with the Great Council was that Daemon raised an army in support of his older brother, and Corlys raised an army in support of Rhaenys and her offspring, and so the two are sort of the chief rivals in terms of the military,
right?
And yet, he's kind of seems to have Daemon's back a little bit there, although he's.
Well, I mean, is that just the honor of the man going? Okay,
yeah.
They said this man is king. Yeah.
He's trying to. I think so. I think he was trying to say we have a stable realm. We have the rule of law. We know what's going to happen here. Yeah. And and by the way, if you're going to insist on throwing things out, then you should go with the law of the land and how every other house inherits, and therefore my son should be king by all the rules of Westeros, right? That as Jon says multiple times in A Dance with Dragons, a daughter comes before an uncle. Anyway, it's repeated over and over again, and people are like, oh well, this is because they wanted to make things follow the rules of Westeros. No, it isn't. The rules of Westeros is a daughter inherits before an uncle, and we're told that over and over again. Even the uncle who's trying to steal the daughter's position with Karstark, he doesn't dispute that he may have to kill her in order for him to be ahead of her. He's like he fully acknowledges you're right. The Great Council is BS. Nobody believes in following the precedent set by the Iron Throne, and it doesn't create chaos when things go wrong. But it would be better if things actually did follow the rules of inheritance. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, that's a pet peeve of mine because I keep hearing people argue that the Great Council was somehow agreeing with the way people are inheriting, when it was in fact arguably disinheriting every single lord, because if you go back far enough, there's probably somewhere where the rule that a daughter goes before an uncle has happened at some point in their history. So you're arguably disinheriting all the lords of the realm by following this male-only thing that is against the rules of Westeros.
Right. Anyway. I mean, just to stay on that, you're not given the number that the choice was made by.
Oh, yeah. In the book, it's even more obvious that it's lying, that they're lying, that they've rigged the election. They claim that it's 20-1, and you can see, well, I mean, we already passed this in the show, so it's not surprising much, right? So they like claim that the election was 20-1, and like they supposedly, the rumor was that it was 20-1, but they list like lots of the different lords, and it doesn't appear to be 20-1.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So anyway, I was promised a crown, and I mean to have it. The dragon is not mocked. Dany has hidden much of mockery. Sadly, his crown is almost as much mockery as it is defense of Dany.
He doesn't know how good he's got a sister. He's got a really good sister.
In fact, the only place where you have the creepiness with Dany, or one of the few places in this chapter where you get the really creepiness of the Dany chapter, is that she was using all of her pillow tricks to finally get him back into the place of honor at the front of the Khalasar.
Have we got to that? We ain't got to that yet, have we? Do you cover that in here?
What's that?
Do you cover that in here?
The no, I deliberately left that out.
I don't even talk about it for last night. But here's the deal. It struck me as just a little bit odd that everything the series has done up till now, Drogo's not letting him back in. The way that structure is there, He's done embarrassed. He's a foot walker. He needs to stay back there with the slaves. Is it pillow tricks, or is it a little bit of that skin changing ability that people think that Sansa will be able to do later on, is to manipulate people into doing what she wants to do? Is that just a little
hidden
vibe?
fingers?
Hidden fingers, I know. That's my shirt, man. I ain't got it here yet. I ordered it first, and I have not got it. Never mind. Go ahead.
All right. The riders have no taste for siegecraft. I doubt they could take even the weakest castle in the Seven Kingdoms. But if Robert Baratheon were fool enough to give them battle, is he? Dany asked. A fool, I mean.
Yeah,
Sir Jorah, consider that for a moment. Robert should have been born Dothraki, he said at last. Your cow would tell you that only a coward hides behind stone walls instead of facing his enemy with a blade in hand. The usurper would agree. He is a strong man, brave, and rash enough to meet a Dothraki horde in the open field. But the men around him, well, their pipers play a different tune. Jorah knows what's up. I mean, he really has a good read on all the different people, and Illyrio Morpartes would argue that only a fool would arm a common footpad with his own blade. Points to Robert, as we're kind of shown him as a drunken fool over and over again who might hire the common footpad.
This is true. You still sticking with the Mance, though?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I just don't see anybody else giving him a bag of silver. They would give him a single gold piece. The way people lust after a single gold piece in this story, and how easy it would be for them to get a single gold piece, and how much harder it would be for them to get a bag of gold. I just think a bag of silver. I just think the bag of silver is too big a clue that it's Mance.
I told you, every time we talk about it, you get me a little bit closer to the Mance. Because George R. R. Martin was asked, he's like, well, if you can come up with the fact that he's not in the same place, but Mance is there. So, I'm leaning your way on that one.
Yep. His brother Stannis, Lord Tywin Lannister, Eddard Stark, he spat. You hate this Lord Stark, Dany said. He took from me all I love for the sake of a few lice-ridden poachers and his precious honor, Sir Jorah said bitterly. From his tone, she could tell the loss still pained him. He changed the subject quickly. So slavery is just a bit dishonorable.
Yeah.
Base Dothrak is large enough to house every man of every Khalasar, should all the cows return to the mother at once. The crones have prophesied that one day that will come to pass, and so Base Dothrak must be ready to embrace all its children. So again, prophecy is real, and this will happen in Winds.
Right.
So Jorah had explained that it was forbidden to carry a blade in Base Dothrak, or to shed a free man's blood. So we've seen with events like the Red Wedding that the most holy customs are used against people. The show has Dany burn all the khals. It seems likely some sort of killing of the khals will take place in Winds. Mm-hmm. Although we do see this particular custom is going to be violated specifically by Viserys, and he's going to pay for it.
Right. Now, doesn't Dany shed their? Yeah,
we're going to get there.
Okay.
So Barristan the Bold had gone over to the usurper. She wondered if all men were as false in the Seven Kingdoms. She will specifically refer to him as a false knight, so this is some nice foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Only men were allowed to set foot on the mother, Dany knew. So probably this is another tradition Dany can violate and wins. She reached out with her other hand and grabbed the first thing she touched, the belt she'd hoped to give him, a heavy chain of ornate bronze medallions. She swung it with all her strength. It caught him full in the face. Viserys let go of her. Blood ran down his cheek where the edge of one of the medallions had sliced it open. Like a scratch across the face of the moon, perhaps? And actually, I think if we read a little further, there's something about there being blood spatter. So, which I do think that what actually happened if there was and I think there was a meteorological, or I'm sorry, an astronomical explanation for the long night. It was probably a scratch across the face of the moon. We get a lot of that scratch across the face symbolism.
Right.
Please bring me one of the dragon's eggs. Erie fetched the egg with the deep green shell, bronze flecks shining amid its scales as she turned it in her small hands. Dany curled up on her side, pulling the sand-silk cloak across her and cradling the egg in the hollow between her swollen belly and small tender breasts. She liked to hold them. They were so beautiful, and sometimes just being close to them made her feel stronger, braver, as if somehow she were drawing strength from the stone dragons locked inside. She was lying there, holding the egg, when she felt the child move within her, as if he were reaching out, brother to brother, blood to blood. You are the dragon, Dany whispered to him. The true dragon. I know it. I know it. And she smiled and went to sleep, dreaming of home. A home which gave her a Tyroshi accent. But readers will discover that in her next chapter.
I was waiting on that one. Oh man.
Anyway,
It's
so
not a big chapter, but it's it shows a little bit more. I mean, is it the eggs that she sleeps with constantly that she's getting braver with, or is it just being out in the world and being next to her husband and their blood riders and all this stuff?
I think it's a little of both, and I think some of it might be, future Bran or whoever's playing the game of chess or whatever.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, it's a good one. I'm glad she smacked him in the face.
Yeah, it was pretty short.
Yeah.
Let's see, anything do we want to? I guess you already have a video you're about to post, right?
Yeah.
So,
if there's anything you want to say, go right ahead.
Yeah, it was. I kind of wish Viserys was more honest with his wife, but otherwise it was pretty good episode. I think part of that is having him be the king and make a decision when he's not willing to make one in terms of his heir. Is supposed to be perhaps some juxtaposition there. I do think they do a pretty good job of making it an impossible choice where you almost can't defer to her wishes. She's
Right.
as drugged as she can be. Any more drug, and they're definitely going to both die. If they don't take immediate action, they're going to both die. And you probably don't want to leave the decision to somebody who's almost drugged out of their mind.
Right.
So I get that it had to be his decision. I just want him to be honest, right? I mean, I get that they've set it up in such a way that it literally has to be his decision, that the only reasonable decision is to try and save one of them because the only other option is they both die. I get that. I just wish he was a little more honest with his wife in her last moments there.
Personally, I mean, I got 3 kids, and my 7-year-old was born by emergency C-section, and that scared the shit out of us. I'll go ahead and tell you. But I can't see a parent go, look, this is what's going to happen, dear. Either you both die or we can save the baby. Whether it's a boy or a girl, it doesn't matter. It's a baby.
Yeah.
You, as a parent, even if you don't have any kids and you're expecting parents or kids one day, or if you got one kid, it doesn't matter. The child always gets protected. The child always gets saved. Whatever you got to do to save the child.
Well, especially if
somebody else's child.
It'd be one thing if it was choosing one or the other, but it's choosing neither or one, right? And that's
right.
Arguably,
this was arguably last night on Twitter for a couple hours.
Oh yeah, I'm not surprised, but I get the idea that there is only one right answer, and having somebody even more emotionally involved in that decision, who's drugged out of their mind, make that decision where they might be like, no, that's not an acceptable outcome to the king at this point, and probably rightfully so. But you just wish he could be honest with her. Like he's lying to her as they're cutting her open and she's suffering, right? And that's where it's clearly wrong.
I mean, yeah, there's definitely other ways that could have been done. I agree with saving the child. I don't agree with how he did it. I still think no matter how drugged out she was,
She'd probably make the right decision.
She'd have made the same decision. But
Right.
there's ways you could have done that. Smother her with a pillow, then cut the baby out. I mean, she suffered. She suffered what no woman should suffer in childbirth. I mean,
especially in this story where we actually do have, as I said before, Othello-style pillow smothering with the way Dany kills Khal Drogo the second time.
Yeah.
It's anyway.
I on the her and the baby. I think it was Balerion or not Baylor is what they named the baby.
Balon,
Balon,
like Balon Greyjoy.
Yeah. I don't trust the Maesters because that single act right there, 2 Targaryens dying in one day, is what starts the road to the dance. So all those stillbursts and all that stuff, even 200 years ago, I don't trust the Maesters at all. As far as when it comes to Targaryens, I think you're seeing the beginnings. Or if it's not, I've read Fire and Blood. I don't know if we get it in Fire and Blood, but it seems to me that they got hidden fingers going on with trying to
right. David Lightburner had a pretty good video series on that, right, with the Grand Maester conspiracy or whatever he called it. Something along those lines. And so I definitely think there's. I mean, it's sort of what Marwyn says, right? Marwyn's like, who killed the dragons? Well, the Maesters did, is how he says it, right? I'm not entirely sold on everything Marwyn says, especially since he's like claiming that they couldn't trust Maester Aemon no more than they could trust me. Where he's kind of implying that he's like a prince, like probably a Martell. He looks like Quentin quite a bit, and we're told that Quentin looks like his father, right? We're told that actually a couple of times that Quentin and his father look almost identical. And so being told that we can look at the description, we can see that Marwyn looks like Quentin, and he specifically says that Aemon couldn't be trusted because he's a prince, just like me or something. It sort of really seems to imply that he's a prince, right? And of course, the Dornish have lots of Targaryen blood in them, from one of the previous Daenerys Targaryens, in fact. So, I mean, which Quentin is constantly reminding us that the Martells have Targaryen blood, and anyway, the point being that one of the reasons they don't trust him is that they made him an Archmaester of the Citadel and put him in charge of the higher mysteries. So it's like, are they really not trusting you? I mean, you're literally in the one position you want to be in. Oh, by the way, you know, there's a position at the Citadel called the Seneschal.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's mentioned that there's a rotating position called the Seneschal. So if Marwyn wears perfume, it's rotated amongst all of the Archmaesters. So pretty much any Archmaester, unless they were like just made Archmaester, has been in that rotating position and will be again. So he's arguably a former Seneschal of the Seneschal, and so if he wears perfume, I'm going to have to keep my eyes open.
Yes, definitely. If we get to the point that I can read the book to find out whether or not he wears perfume, I would be extremely happy.
I want to see. I'd like to see that. I'd like to see the Winds of Winter at some point.
I don't even want to hear any more of his blogs. I just leave him. I'm gonna leave him alone. Just you do your thing.
It's disturbing how much he's in the credits and how he's got his new GRRM production company in the credits prominently as the #1 production company and stuff. I was like, it's cool, but it's also disturbing.
A little bit. You gotta remember what got you to the dance, though.
Yeah.
What is next?
Oh, good question.
I can't remember. I don't have my book with me either.
Yeah, let me pull it up here. It's going to be Bran. Bran? Really?
Wow.
Oh. During his first ride outside Winterfell since his fall, Bran learns of Jaime Lannister's attack on his father. Rob goes ahead to find the direwolves, and Bran is attacked by 6 outlaws. Rob returns with the direwolves and defeats all but one. The last man holds a dagger to Bran's throat until Theon kills him with an arrow from behind. Osha, the only survivor, is taken captive.
Yeah, that's a good chapter. She's a good captain.
Oh yeah. So it's our introduction to Osha.
Yep. All right, then we're doing that Wednesday.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Got a little bit of House of Dragon at the end. Thank you for your thoughts on it. I didn't I got a video coming out. I'll put it out after this. I saw some things that I liked, and I saw some things that I give it a 9 out of 10. I'll put you that way.
Yeah, I thought the tourney was a little overboard with all its nobody following the rules and everybody just attacking and killing each other. That seemed excessive. Right, that seemed really excessive and unlikely.
Well, the tourney was my favorite part, but those scenes of the tourney weren't the reason why. It was the fight between Christian Cole and Damon.
Yeah, which wasn't what people were telling us, right? A lot of people were speculating that was like a melee where they entered, and it's like, no, that's not what it was.
Yeah, I mean, he even fought with Dark Sister, so I mean, that should be not allowed. But that's neither here nor there. All right, we will see y'all Wednesday with Bran, and there'll be a video out here at 1:00 on my thoughts, my virgin fire and blood thoughts of House of Dragon.
I've heard people call them unsullied. I can't remember who did that. Who used to do that? It might have been History of Westeros, maybe. Sullied and unsullied reviews or something. Somebody used to have sullied and unsullied the reviews of the show, where they I think that's what they called it, where they had people that they put out an episode for people who'd read the books and an episode for people who hadn't.
Well, I mean, I think virgin is a better eye-catching word. So,
sure. But I think they just wanted it to be an in-world, an in-world somewhat specific term, right? So they were trying to go something like that. But anyway, yeah, sure.
Maiden. That would work.
Yeah.
We'll see you Wednesday. I have been Old New Dude, and he has been
Richard York, Asher's Trueborn son.
Y'all have a good day. Bye.
Bye.
Me and this stupid